الله الكبير. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. الله الكبير. And we are here by God's grace, and we are indebted to God for giving us this opportunity, and so we can make contact with our Creator and grow our souls. And so this is a time to cherish, a time to remember that how much blessing God has bestowed upon us, and be grateful to Him, and make sure that we actually respond in kind and believe in God and thank Him and appreciate His huge favors that He's bestowed upon us. So these are not by accident. This is by divine design, and this is not because we are we are smarter than the rest of the people or anything like that. This is just somehow God has chosen us to be the recipient of this favor that He's given us today. So we should be grateful and appreciative of God's blessings. So what I wanted to discuss with you today, and we've been talking about what our responsibilities are in this world, in this universe, and we said that last week. I talked about the word al-mu'min, which means the faithful. So, and as I said this before, that God is faithful to us. And so all He's asking in return is that we are faithful to Him. Okay? And so what does that mean? That means that we are not betraying Him in our minds or in our hearts or in action, which can be seen. Okay? That we go according to His instructions. And those instructions are given by the one who has the knowledge of everything, including us. Okay? So He knows full well what is good for us and what's bad for us. And so we have to abide by those instructions that God has revealed to us. And so we have to follow that. And that means that we are totally faithful to Him. Okay? So, now, as I said the last time, I said that God is actually trusting us and has faith in us with a bigger universe, with a place that has not been here before, with a universe which is much bigger than 1400 years ago. Okay? And so, accordingly, He has given us more knowledge. Okay? We need that. And so, what should we do? We should actually embrace that new knowledge. We cannot stick to the ground. We have to move and increase our knowledge. Okay? Chapter 20, God says that, and say, increase my knowledge. Lord, increase my knowledge. Why? Because we are every second of our lives, every microsecond, we are in a bigger universe. We are in a place that no one has been there before. So we are responsible to go along with the new knowledge. So today, I know a lot more than yesterday. And I have to do that. So what about good deeds? We are more responsible to do good deeds because our good deeds has a lot more effects than the good deeds of before. Because the good deeds of before actually span a smaller universe, a smaller place. Today it affects a bigger place. Now the warning comes with this. And the bad deeds also affects in a negative way this bigger place. So we have to be ultra careful now. We cannot go ignorantly about our business. So we cannot stick to the ground. We have to increase our knowledge. We have to go along with the new knowledge that we have. And embrace the new knowledge which is going to come to us. And we have to ask God to make us do better. Because that good deeds that we are going to do, hopefully, in obedience to God, okay? When He tells you to give to charity, you give to charity. When He tells you do not blame the beggar, you do not blame the beggar. When you do that, you're actually doing something good. But this goodness of your work is going to affect a bigger universe. When you're lying, you're doing a bad thing. And that lie that you're doing in this universe is going to have a lot more effect than the universe of 1,000 years ago. Because that was a smaller place with less number of people. Now you're dealing with a larger group of people. And a lie affects has a negative impact on this larger universe. Okay? So what I'm trying to say is that our responsibility is higher now with the faith that God has in us. So we have to have more faith in Him. And we have to move along with His expansion. Okay? And take that expansion as a responsibility upon us, how we are going to react to this expansion. Are we going to spread corruption by lying, cheating, stealing, murdering, and things like that? Or are we going to be intelligent enough, by God's grace, ask God to increase our knowledge and move with this and do better? Because that goodness that we are going to perform today is going to affect a lot more people in a lot larger place than it did before. Okay? So that word, the faithful, in chapter 59, verse 22, that the faithful, the faith that God has in us, and in the next generation, which is going to be responsible for a bigger universe. Okay? That faith has to be respected. We have to be faithful to Him. And accordingly, what we do is, as I said, when we go and do a good deed in this bigger universe, it's going to affect a lot more entities in this bigger universe because these things did not exist before. The universe we're in today did not exist 10 years ago. This universe did not exist, 40 years ago. This universe did not exist when Rashad was discovering the mathematics of the Quran. That was for that time. It's a new universe, new things. Things that have been discovered in this century. We know how they affect the composition of the Quran, or how they are generating that. They have always been there. We didn't know about it. But today we know about it. We know about Chen primes. We know about Gaussian primes. We know about Gaussian Mersenne primes. We know about all these things that did not exist back then that we didn't know. Today we know it. And so we have to be responsible for that. And so the more we spread this, the better off we are. Okay? And so the idea about this whole thing is that this faithfulness that God has entrusted to us, and He has said, okay, I am the faithful. And when He says that, He is entrusting us with this huge universe which is expanding all the time. And this universe, as I said, did not exist before. And we are the people in charge. And so we have to be extra careful how we actually react in this bigger universe, both as far as good deeds and bad deeds. Okay? The bad deeds that we are going to do is going to affect the bigger universe. The good deeds that we are going to do is going to affect a bigger universe. Tomorrow is going to be even a bigger universe. Day after tomorrow is going to be the same thing. So question is now, are we better than 10 years ago? Of course. Okay, because our knowledge has increased. According to the knowledge that we have, we are also responsible for the good and the bad deeds. So we cannot go along and continue doing that. Okay? Continue doing the same thing we did before. We have to discontinue the bad deeds and make sure that we are doing good deeds in this bigger and much larger universe that we are in and God has entrusted us with. This is a huge blessing that we see the universe this way. We never looked at it this way. That this is a new place. Okay? So when you go around and say, well, this is boring because, the same thing is going to come over and over, summer and fall and things. That's not the same summer. That's not the same fall. It's not the same spring. That flower which is blooming this spring is not the same as last year. It's different. It's blooming in a much larger universe than last year. It's the first time. This is not a cyclic thing as we thought it was. Okay? People who are, have a short-sighted vision of the entire universe, they think that way. This is boring. Okay? I'm going to say the same thing over and over again. Those people who look deeper, and God has given them the vision to look deeper, they say, oh my God, this is not the same. This is a different thing today. It's not going to be the same routine that was before. It's going to be different. It's going to be more beautiful than it was before. And so we are responsible. We're in charge. We are the vicegerent. Okay? And so we have to be careful how we react and how we actually pay this homage to God that, look, you've given us all of these things. And so make us better, increase our knowledge, and see us to see the depths of your creation. Okay, how deep and beautiful it is. So today, as I said, if you do a good deed, you're going to affect a lot more people. If you do a bad deed, on the other hand, you're also going to affect a lot more people. Okay. So with all of these social media, which is going on all the time, okay, you could mislead people. You could mislead a lot of people. There's a lot of lying stuff going on in the social media right now. So this was not available before. So you can lie there, you can do all kinds of stuff, and you're affecting a lot more people. It's not the same as that little fit that you did, 20, 30 years ago. It's not the same thing. It has a completely different dimensions to it. The same thing with good deeds. If you're doing that, okay, then you are actually doing a better thing for a larger group of people. It affects a larger thing. And now we are not talking even about that collective consciousness that we were talking about. That collective consciousness is also bigger of the entire universe. That collective consciousness are the clothing that you wear. Okay? All this inert material which is around you and you don't appreciate them. The animals and all of those things, they have a collective consciousness. And that collective consciousness is bigger. So today, any of those things is going to affect it either positively or negatively. So the question is, which one we're going to choose? Obviously, we're going to choose the positive ones. We are going to do better today. And so by doing that, we're actually paying back God for having the faith in us that He has. So this is the beauty of this creation that God has bestowed upon us, and we have to appreciate it, as I said, and so make sure that we increase the amount of good deeds that we do and decrease the amount of bad deeds that we did, because both of those are going to affect a larger group. Okay? So I'm going to stop here and finish this unit. Allahu Kabir.